Hey guys, it's Unrealized Thoughts, and I'm just going to talk to you about the benefits of making a remake or a reboot. So I'm not going to waste any time, I'm going to get right into it. Number one is retelling the story for the modern day crowd. And what I mean is update the story so today's audience would know this. When it comes to making a story, or at least rebooting it, you have to at some point reboot it where old fans would actually be satisfied, but at the same time new fans would be satisfied as well. You can spice up the story sometimes. That's what happened with Wonder Woman's origin in New 52. And also, let's talk about the Evangelion remakes. Some people didn't like the Evangelion that came out back in the 90s, but people actually like the remakes. They like the movies. I like the movies and I like the original, so it's a win-win for me. Next up, we have aesthetics, and they can be updated. Now, do not get it twisted. Just because a show has good aesthetics does not mean it is a good show. Guilty Crown has very good aesthetics. In fact, the character designs comes from one of my favorite artists, Red Juice, and honestly, this show looks beautiful, but the script is kind of a mess. That being said, the originals can often have a dated look to them, and honestly, people like visuals, everybody would. The animation and effects would actually get people more interested, because you can judge a book by its cover. Next up, and last up actually, which this isn't going to be long, has a chance to improve the story. Now, one thing is that as a child, I always just looked at shows and I wasn't really too critical. I was a child. But now that I notice, a lot of my childhood shows were not flawless. Some of them were maybe ahead of its time in concepts, but they were not flawless. For example, Gundam Wing wasn't really much of a good show. I think that they can actually improve it with the reboot. Full Metal Alchemist, they said there was a couple of plot holes. I watched it. I didn't rewatch it. I had to watch it again. But they said that Brotherhood improved the story. So I had to watch that because I haven't watched Brotherhood. And there are so many other shows that actually have potential. Mew Mew Power, or Tokyo Mew Mew, was basically my alternative to Sailor Moon. It was the environmental version of Sailor Moon. Now I think that show could actually be rebooted if done right, the script's right, and everything. And also, it can actually look good. Now let's talk about Vandred, because this is actually important. Vandred, flaws aside, its premise was ahead of its time. Think about it. Men and women fighting each other and separating from one another for like years. This is like feminists versus the MRAs, or more like feminists versus MGTOW, which are men going their own way, basically. The problems that we face today regarding gender segregation, and I think it's honestly ridiculous because we both need each other, and that's what the show actually kind of, showed. Basically, they're just telling men and women we have a bigger threat and we need each other to actually fight this bigger threat and, save the day. Also, anytime they fuse with those machines, spoiler alert by the way, anytime they would fuse with those machines, not really much of a spoiler, they would actually get stronger. So yeah, I think that show was ahead of its time, and if done right, rebooted, cleaned up, I think that show would probably be a 9, maybe, if done right. They can still keep the comedy. Anyway, that's basically it for me, guys. So, sorry I haven't done that many videos, but I'm trying to do it as much as I can. It's just that I've been tired and I have been busy, so it's not a really good combination. Anyway, tell me what you guys think. Like and subscribe. Like me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. Please do so because, I mostly post up on Instagram and Facebook, so you guys can actually talk to me more on there. Peace and stay thoughtful.